And good morning, Southern Arizona. Good morning, Tucson. Happy Saturday. Welcome back to the Marketing Corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell. And proud of the Cats yesterday. They took care of Akron rather handedly. My guest today, he said he was born in Akron. So part of him is a little depressed this morning, but part of him is very, very happy. But by the end of this show, everybody's going to be happy. This is the 30th episode of the Marketing Corner. And I have to say that we've had so many tremendous guests that tell their stories, that tell their passions, to kind of give their ups and downs and, just very inspirational. But I think today's episode, you better grab your pen and pencil, take some notes, because this is by far going to be the most informative episode of the 30 so far. Again, the previous 29, very informative. There are some, I should say the previous 20, very, very inspirational, some informative. This one's going to be more informative, and we're not going to provide any inspiration to you at all, but to let you know just how far behind you are in your digital marketing. Was that inspiring, Robert?
I am so inspired. Saturday morning, I woke up inspired. So
today's co-host is Robert Callesen, E-Force Marketing. Welcome to the show, Robert.
Yay! Thanks so much. I appreciate it. What an honor to be on the marketing quarter.
Yeah, we're a sponsor.
Campbell.
You're a
My
sponsor.
goodness.
It's our show.
Yep.
It's our show. Yeah, so we did zero rehearsal because when Robert and I get talking, we'll take up an hour easy, and we nerd out on marketing. We nerd out specifically on digital marketing. And this is really going to be when I say the most informative, packed show, this is going to be it right here, because we're going to give you all the ins and outs of your online presence. We're going to give you the do's and don'ts. We're going to give you, what you should, aspire to be online. How much, a good online presence could add to the value of your business. We just had that conversation not too long ago with a business broker in town. So we're going to hit all the chords there. If you have any questions about your SEO, about your website, about your social media, your Google business profile, we are here to answer them today. 520-790-2040, 520-790-2040. Call and ask all the questions that you need to ask about any part of your marketing, in particular your online presence. Robert, eForce Marketing, you and I have known each other for a good about 10 years now.
Yeah,
you realize
wow,
that?
yep.
Yeah. How long have you had eForce?
About 15 years.
15?
Yep.
What do you say is your bread and butter? You're dominant in this particular area.
So digital marketing encompasses a lot of different factors, right? And it includes social media, which, Sean, you're an absolute ace in.
Thank you.
Of course. We do have some overlap in what we do.
Yeah.
But my bread and butter would be SEO, which is search engine optimization, which we'll get into probably a little bit later.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of details involved with that. And then also websites.
Yeah.
We're primarily here in Tucson and throughout Arizona. We're in other states as well. But, I love doing websites. And I like to say that we do Hollywood-style websites at Walmart pricing. So,
What do you say is maybe the top 2 or 3, maybe 4 common opportunities people have in their websites? I mean, you sign on a new client. What are some of those common things that you are immediately correcting?
So that's a great question. People need to realize, business owners need to realize that your website is really your calling card.
Yeah.
Online.
Yep.
It's your first impression for any potential clients, current clients. So it's really important that it's done correctly. Probably one of the biggest opportunities I see, especially for existing websites, is that the look, the feel, the customer interaction, the customer experience, essentially, that could probably be improved. And also, too, I see some business owners that create a website with so much content and so much information that it really becomes an informational website rather than a sales tool, which is what most websites should be designed for.
Yeah, but I know what people are asking right now. Should it not have a ton of content on there?
It should have enough. It should be informative. Especially for the homepage, for example. It should have a certain amount of content, a certain amount of images. It should look attractive, professional, of course. Any other detailed information that a business owner wants to share with the market or visitors, they can find those on subsequent pages on the website.
Right.
They can get a little bit deeper, have links on the homepage, read more or whatever, and then it goes into different pages. But your especially your homepage should be pretty concise, and it should have getting into number 2 opportunity would
Yep.
be a big call to action.
Yep.
So rather than just be informative, you want to drive people to your website, and then you want to drive people from the website to pick up the phone and call and become a new customer.
Right.
So, and that's done by having a strong call to action.
Yep.
Make your appointment today, call today.
Yeah.
Special, offer happening right now.
Yeah. And for me, for my 2 cents, that's the most common opportunity I see in websites is not having that call to action always present, especially on mobile. I mean, do you know in general what kind of breakdown when people are visiting the site? Are they going to be on their laptop or their mobile, or is it a kind of a 50-50 split maybe?
It's almost 50-50. We're
Yeah.
seeing a migration more to mobile.
Yeah.
Interestingly, the tablets are not even 5%.
Really?
Yeah, so it's
Oh, wow.
desktop or
Wow.
mobile.
Wow, interesting. So, and of course, the importance, and this is another thing that I see, is that when you see a website on desktop, it doesn't really translate very well to mobile, right? So, what's that called? Mobile
Yep,
responsiveness?
it's a
yeah.
responsive website, right? And,
Yeah.
and most web developers, they know to make the website well,
Yeah.
with a great look for, of course, desktop and then for mobile.
Yeah. So, give us your what is the 3-pillar spiel? I like when you do that.
Yeah,
The
all right.
3 pillars of digital marketing.
So they're really to be found online to build your web presence. So we have 3 what we call pillars of marketing. Okay, one is what Sean does. It's social media. That's extremely important to elevate your business online. It was really interesting. We didn't see Google's analytics really pick up social media or the importance of social media until probably 10 years ago, 8 years ago maybe. We were kind of ahead of the curve, which is great for our clients. But it's very, very important. So you have to have a strong social media presence. And it really depends on where your business is, because it may be a play for Facebook and Twitter. If you have a lot of images, for example, you may be on Instagram, or as my daughter calls it, Insta.
Insta.
Right?
The gram.
I got to keep up with the younger terminology. So,
Yeah.
But it's extremely important. And then the other pillar would be, of course, your website. Again, that's your calling card online. That's really your anchor for everything else. And getting back a little bit to the third opportunity for websites that you asked, would actually be the social media integration to the website.
Okay.
And that could be a sub-program that automatically uploads your latest 3 or 4 posts.
Yeah.
You definitely would want to have your links for your Facebook, X, or whatever on your website itself. A lot of people don't do that, but it's very important, and it really helps helps your customers get more integrated into the whole experience of your business.
Right.
Okay?
One thing that you're phenomenal, and you're doing this right now. I don't know if you realize that you're very good at explaining things in terms that I think the average person, the average business owner understands. One of the things that I come across when I meet other, website developers, SEO guys, is that they speak in terms that it goes way over your head. So just want to commend you on that you're explaining things very, very easily, Robert, as you always do.
I appreciate that. Well, I mean, if you're a surgeon and talking all this jargon and your patients, what? And then they, they may sign up, but they really don't know what they're signing up for.
Yeah.
I prefer to educate any particular customer, whether they come with me for their service or someone else. At least they're educated and know, what to ask, and some of the information that they can comprehend easily.
Yeah. We got less than 2 minutes before the first break, Robert. How did you get into this? I know you can't cram it into 2 minutes, but what was your previous life before you became a digital marketer?
Had a few different projects. I have a strong marketing. I have a marketing degree, and I was in corporate. I worked for Kimberly-Clark.
Wait a minute, you're a digital marketer with a marketing degree?
Can you believe that?
We're both in the same room.
It was kind of funny because I was in international business at Kimberly-Clark for a number of years, and not really to do with marketing, but a lot with systems and logistics and stuff like that. And then I got into sales, which is part of marketing, of course.
Absolutely.
And then I got into, I made the mistake just before the big recession,
Yeah.
was get into the mortgage business.
Yeah.
Which is great
Yeah.
until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. But I think all along the way, you kind of took bits and pieces of all your career, as did I, to do what we're doing right now. So we got about 30 seconds to the break. We're with Robert Callesen from eForce Marketing. I want to get into a little bit more like after a person goes to a website and picks up the phone and calls a client. And we're going to get into that and share a few stories there. You're listening to the Marketing Corner. If you have any questions for us, 520-790-2040. We'll be back in a few minutes. We're back in the Marketing Corner. I'm your host, Sean Campbell. We're here with co-host and sponsor, one of the new sponsors of the show, Robert Callesen from eForce Marketing, ready to dominate the web.
Yes, sir.
Just like you heard, right?
Yeah, just like it says on my website, dominate the web.
We're going to detract a little bit from the online stuff. And, you and I have shared a few stories of you and I could do our jobs very, very well, right? But at the end of the day, when somebody goes online, finds one of our clients and makes a phone call or fills out the form, it comes down to customer service.
Yes. Yep.
So I think that's one of the things, like, I believe that, and feel free to disagree and debate with me, Mr. Callesen.
Sir.
I believe that every business owner should have the entire organization know how much they're spending in ad spend and how much they're investing into our services, so they know when someone walks into the door as a result from what you and I have done to help our client or picked up the phone and call, that they should be aware that this is an investment. So, I mean, have you had to kind of coach some of your clients in how to do the simple things like answer a phone and how to greet people and all the above?
I would say probably half of my clients.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, they're all virtually excellent at what they do and the service and products.
Absolutely. I'm not being critical of a small business owner. They are experts for a reason.
Yep.
However.
So it's actually, it's kind of funny, but it's an easy problem to fix most of the time.
Yeah.
So for some of our clients, we have, I'm sure you know what it is, a call rail or call tracking.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll do some marketing campaigns for them.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, the client will say, hey, I'm not getting any clients. And of course, we go back to the program and say, well, you got 30, 40, 50 calls last month.
Yeah.
And we have recordings of all those.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would say they're somewhat less than professional when answering the phone. I mean, I've had clients that I got recordings of, right? A legitimate customer calls them and they'll say, this is Robert. And then the customer gets confused, right?
Right.
I thought I was calling Robert's Pizza.
Right.
And now this is Robert. And then it just takes a moment.
Yep.
And then it's like, be nice, be kind, right?
Right.
Have some good branding when you answer your phone. They spend a lot of money, not necessarily a lot of money, but some funds, marketing funds, to get that phone ringing.
Yep.
So you need to do it in a very professional way.
And by no means am I saying I'm perfect as a business owner, right? I mean, I'll be honest, I've had a few people kind of rip into me because I wasn't as responsive, as maybe I should have been. I'll admit, I've made the same mistake. However, especially when you're investing hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in Google ad spend or in Facebook ads, and the phone begins to ring, people begin to walk in. I mean, people are going to leave 1-2 star reviews, and all that money is just wasted. Yeah.
Yeah, I did a video a while back that says, answer your phone.
Not that video. Oh, this one.
Because
Was this the one when you're in Europe?
Long time ago. But it does happen where the phone rings and no one answers. We get this with
you did that while you're on the road, huh? Yeah, that was a good video.
Yeah.
That was a good video.
I got someplace. But it's important. And you got to answer your phone. That's your golden ticket for additional business. And if you don't, I promise you, if you don't answer your phone as a business, the customer will call the next one down the line.
Yeah.
We work very hard to elevate presence of our clients online. You get on the front page, one of the top 3 for the Google Maps, and get that phone ringing.
Yeah.
And then it's not answered.
Yeah. Again, I am not being critical. I'm just saying it's frustrating when you and I do our job just recently, I called a customer on their business line, and their response was, "Hello."
Right. Yeah. Right. It's
Like
like,
what?
and I was like, did I get the wrong number?
Right? Yeah, yeah. And it's, oh no, you got this. This is,
Hmm.
yeah. How you doing?
Yep.
Like, dude,
It happened. You know, the one on the flip side, I have a client of mine,
yeah.
GT Skid Steers, if I can throw out a name.
Absolutely, yeah,
All right,
yeah, yeah. It's your
fantastic.
show. It's your show.
So, so he does a lot of land clearing and lot
Hmm.
clearing and
Yeah, yeah,
landscape stuff,
yeah,
and he's always busy. You know, he's one of the business owners that actually works on his business.
yeah,
So he's in the skid steer. He's
yeah,
he's all over the place getting
yeah, yeah,
doing the job.
yeah.
So what I admire about him, and I think it's an opportunity for the
Hmm.
business owners to look and follow,
Hmm.
is he can't always answer his phone, but he has
Hmm.
his phone on vibrate. So if
Hmm.
he's in the middle of a big job, he may not be able to answer. But what he's really great at
Hmm.
is, like, as soon as he possibly can, within a minute or so, he will text back the person
Hmm.
saying, "Hey, I'm on a job. Can I give you a call back?" So
Yeah.
he touches base. He touches that customer,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
typically, oh, sure, no problem. And then and then they'll. But you just can't ignore them.
yeah,
But
yeah,
he's really great at that. So
yeah.
there are definitely lots of business owners that are
Hmm.
absolutely doing it correctly.
Yeah. Does SEO work?
So I'm going to circle back to your first question, or
Yep.
your first question is the
Yep.
three pillars.
The three
Right.
pillars.
So we've got SEO.
Yep.
We got the website,
Hmm.
and we got the social media
Hmm.
marketing, and then the third pillar is SEO, which is search engine optimization.
For even, to, dim that down even more, it's like how easy you're found from your keywords from what your business. Is that kind of accurate?
It is. So
Yeah.
people ask, well, what's a search engine?
Yeah.
Well, search engine is when you get online, and it
Hmm.
could be it could be a number of different things. But the
Yeah.
biggest one, of course, is Google.
Yep.
Google, they own like 85% of the
Yeah.
search engine market. So
Then
that's
after that would
Google.
be maybe Bing and Yahoo,
yep.
right? Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, so when you're talking about SEO,
Hmm.
it's search engine optimization. You want to optimize your website.
Hmm.
You want to optimize your presence online
Hmm.
for the benefit of Google
Hmm.
and the other search engines,
Yep.
and Yahoo, whatnot. So that when people type in, like you're saying, a keyword.
Yep.
So getting back to, I use social media, right?
Mhm.
So social media marketing
Mhm.
in Tucson,
Mhm.
right? You're very high on the search
There you go.
engines.
There you go.
Doing a
Uh-huh.
good job.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
reputation, I think. So
I
people
don't know
find
about
you.
my reputation, but oh, that reputation. Yeah.
The good reputation,
The good
right?
reputation.
Your Google reviews,
My
right?
Google reviews.
Which we'll get into after a bit, but that's
Yeah.
really important as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna write that one down. Make sure we get to that.
All right.
Google reviews. We gotta talk
Sir.
about that. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yep. So, so search engine optimization, it's not just optimizing a website, which is
Mhm.
extremely important. That's
Mhm.
the number one thing we do when we bring on a new client, whether we do a new website for them or they
Mhm.
have a website already that we
Mhm.
need to tweak and optimize. So we have some sub-program and some other sub-programs on the website that we put on, and other programs, auditing programs that we use to really define what it is that we can do to help optimize that website for keywords
Mhm.
specifically.
Right.
Right. So in your case, it'd be social marketing,
Mhm.
Facebook marketing,
Mhm.
Facebook ads,
Mhm.
things like that. So we can
Yeah.
hit a couple different. We don't want to target a lot of different
Right.
keywords
Right.
because then we start getting diluted a
Yep.
little bit in our efforts.
Yep.
So
Yep.
usually the top 3, maybe 5.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really important. Then aside from optimizing the website, there's a whole strategy outside the website. It's called
Mhm.
off-page SEO.
Okay.
So on-page SEO for the listeners and watchers, on-page is really for your website. So in case you hear that terminology, off-page is optimization strategy
Mm.
outside your website, which
Okay.
that includes a lot of different things. It can
Mhm.
include blogs. It can include getting your local profile set up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
not to get too technical, but backlinks, social signals, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
those have to be done in a very strategic, thoughtful way. Otherwise, if you don't do it correctly, you're going to be relegated to page 100 on Google because
What are negative keywords?
negative keywords.
Yeah.
So like keywords that you don't necessarily.
Is that calling somebody a bad person?
Yeah. That's
You're a jerk.
so we always like to focus on what the most popular keywords
Right.
would be.
Right.
And we have a program. It's called SERPs, and it's through Google and some other programs offer this as well. So we'll type in, let's say it's a Medicare agent. So we'll put
David Bradley, listen.
Yeah, I threw that out there on purpose, right?
We're talking to you, David.
Exactly. So, I'll put in the program, okay, does Medicare agent, does that get more hits as far as people searching for that key term? Or does Medicare professional, Medicare expert, or just Medicare? And then it gives me a whole list, and then I can kind of cherry pick that term that gets the most attention from people searching for.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And then we'll focus on that main keyword. And sometimes it's totally different than what I would expect myself. And I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, I had that lesson a long time ago when I was working with a guy who does water heaters, right? And he gave me a lesson. He's like, I was doing just keywords with water heaters because that's what I do. However, what people search are hot water heaters.
Right, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
It was that one little term, but the hot water heaters is not just water heaters. So when he adjusted his terms to hot water heaters, that's when his business started to really take off. Very, very interesting stuff.
No, I can definitely see that. So, and then the other part of our program, it shows us how much competition, and sometimes we'll find a key term or key phrase that gets a lot of volume as far as searches are concerned.
Yeah.
The competition is very low.
Yeah.
And then that's a lot easier for us to penetrate into the market for our client.
Oh, yeah.
So,
that makes sense too.
So it's a whole strategy that goes into it. And, with our goal for eForce Marketing, I mean, our main goal is to help elevate companies' presence online, make it a lot easier for potential clients, customers to find them, and of course, put them on their website, get them on the phone, and become new clients.
Yeah. Awesome. We got a minute till the break. When we come back from the break, Mr. Callesen, let's dive in a little bit into social media and dive into some of the platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You want to do anything else? Maybe TikTok a little bit?
Yeah, do TikTok for sure. And then
we'll talk about TikTok. Is it just a talk? Ask your daughter if it's just a talk. Or is it TikTok?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Call her up during the break.
She's
Call
working
her
right
up
now.
during. She's working right now.
No, but that's not send her a text. I will have the answer at
when
the
we
end of the
come
break.
back. All right. You are listening to the Marketing Corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell, with co-host today, Robert Callesen. We are back in the Marketing Corner. I am your host, Sean Campbell, with co-host today, Robert Callesen from eForce Marketing. We're going to dive a little bit in this segment into social media. Then we want to get into the importance of Google reviews afterwards, right?
Yep.
So you and I both, specialize in social media. When you're working with a client, how do you determine what platform they should be on?
Yeah, another great question. It really depends who their market is. If they're going after a younger crowd, and it depends on their product and service as well.
Yeah.
Because Instagram might be a perfect fit for them. If they're like a financial planner, for example, that's that their target is more the older crowd.
Yeah.
Which Facebook is pretty much dominating now for anyone over 40 or so. So that we put more weight and attention to something like Facebook and X as well. X is more comprehensive, I think.
Yeah.
But there's some things we look at.
And I love LinkedIn. I do. I mean,
Yes, sir.
Especially for if you're targeting professionals, targeting people with a little bit more expendable income, if you want to really put a heavy emphasis or put some weight behind your personal brand, especially your LinkedIn, your personal LinkedIn profile is something that you should create unique content for that's true to you and your journey and your story, right? And also you can create a LinkedIn company page, and it's very easy. I don't say it's easy, but it's not as complex as building a following on Facebook is today. Actually, with Facebook, they brought back the ability to, promote your page and earn followers. That was gone for a little bit. But on LinkedIn, it's a little bit easier because you get what they call credits. You get 250 credits to send out to your connections on the personal side to follow your company page every month. And then if you have a number of those that follow your page during the month, your credits get, replenished. So if you send out 250 credits to follow your company page on LinkedIn, 10, 20, 30 people follow your page, then you get those 10, 20, 30 more credits that month to use.
Okay, there you
go. So, yeah.
Let me ask you a question on
Uh,
LinkedIn. I
uh,
think it's probably the least
yeah, it
underutilized, right?
still is.
The most
Yeah,
underutilized
yeah,
platform out
yeah,
there, especially for
yeah.
business to business.
Right.
Do you see it as a better fit for business or
Absolutely.
business to
Business
customer,
to business.
B2C? Okay, yeah.
Business to business, you're 100% right. And then, that's 1A, 1B, and like I was saying before, to really put some firepower behind your personal brand, right? Especially if you're not a business owner, you're an executive, or you're in kind of a C-suite person. You really want to put some content out there to tell people who you are and your story and your journey, and really kind of be a little bit vulnerable. There are some tremendous profiles on LinkedIn right now that do a phenomenal job. Holly Crawshaw is somebody that, if you're on LinkedIn, follow her and see what she does, and she's absolutely phenomenal. She in my opinion, she provides a blueprint of what you should be doing on your personal profile. So Holly Crawshaw.
Okay, everyone got that?
Yeah. So, and I've never met her. I think she lives some out in the Midwest, but I follow her every day to see what the content she puts out there, and it's inspiring, and she's vulnerable, and she gives tips on how to build your own LinkedIn profile. So
You know,
really good.
that's a great idea, not just for LinkedIn,
Hmm.
but as a business owner, if you
Yeah.
happen to see other
Yeah.
profiles, business
Yep.
profiles out there,
Yep.
you know, use it as an example, as a template.
Right.
Maybe there are things
Right.
that you can do for your own business,
Yep.
or maybe give direction to
Yep.
your service provider.
Yep.
For example, and that includes posts, it includes
Yep.
the main banner.
Yep.
Um, Also, too, let me just add this, Sean. Maybe you see this
Hmm.
with some of your clients that you end up taking over.
Hmm.
Um, I found that a lot of clients don't fully fill out their social media
Yeah.
platforms.
Yeah.
I see this a lot with Google My Business page.
Right.
They don't have the products or services,
Yeah.
and that alone can help
Yeah.
differentiate you
Yeah.
and tell Google, it's like, hey, this business
Hmm.
is much more interactive, it's much more a
Yeah.
player than its
Yeah.
competition that's
Yeah.
elevated in the search engines.
Or even profiles on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn that are actually hold on, my meta my I, know, I was getting a message in my meta glasses,
That's
but
funny.
inconsistencies, or the branding's different, even the
Yes.
logo's different. You're making it complicated for someone to follow you, and it's really you know a more common mistake than you would imagine. So you did call your daughter during the break,
I did.
and what did she say about TikTok?
So we were talking about TikTok, and I said, "Do you have a short name for TikTok, like Insta, for
Hmm.
Instagram?" And she's like, "Nope, just TikTok."
Just
And
TikTok.
I'm like, "So no,
Yeah.
Tiki, no Taki, just TikTok?" And she's like, "Yeah, just TikTok."
Yeah, yeah. So thanks for the verification.
Yes, we got that.
Appreciate it. Yeah, yeah,
from an 18-year-old.
yeah.
So,
Speaking of TikTok, have you dabbled at all in the TikTok with any of your clients?
um, I, I have not.
Yeah.
Actually, a little bit.
Mm.
It's just it's not a for my particular clients.
Yeah.
It's not a like the perfect play,
Right.
but it's absolutely
It's
very important. It's
phenomenal
powerful.
platform.
Yeah.
The thing is, you need obviously a lot of video content,
Hmm.
right? You got to have a lot of video content because TikTok will reward you the more consistent you are on TikTok.
Okay.
If you put a post up, every week, every 10 days, it's hard to get a lot of traction. It is. But here's the thing. If you do produce those little 30, 60 minute and a half long clips, why not utilize that content for TikTok? I got to tell you a real quick story too. Utilize it for YouTube Shorts,
Okay. There you
utilize
go.
it for Reels and Stories. So cross utilize this
Mhm.
content if you're going to take the time and effort to produce these really good videos, right? One quick story. I may or may not have been on a call in the last couple of weeks. Or to
Okay.
keep this very, very general, and I was corrected when I was saying that, I was asked advice for a particular business page on Facebook, and I was saying, hey, well, one of the things, I love the video, I love you're doing videos. However, see that little TikTok logo on the video, you're sharing directly from TikTok or downloading it from TikTok and put it on Facebook. Facebook doesn't like that. Facebook doesn't like that. None of the platforms like that. They want to see the videos uploaded on their platforms as seen as quote unquote original, right? Original content. I was corrected, quote unquote, corrected by this client's daughter who said, no, Facebook was bought TikTok was bought by Facebook. Don't you know? Duh.
And you're like,
I'm like,
news to me.
yeah. And I was like, I gave up. That was 5 minutes into the
But she
conversation.
said that with such confidence, right? You were almost believing it,
And then the client's looking at me like I'm an idiot.
right? Didn't you
So,
know that?
don't you know that? How do you not know that? So I gave up on that. I totally gave up. Breaking news: TikTok has not been bought by Facebook.
Right, right.
Anyway, when you're doing video is king of content when it comes to social media. Period. Right? Be vulnerable. Do not overthink it. That there is software out there to take out all the ums and ers and whatever. Right? Most video on social media is actually muted. So make sure you have some software like opus.com is tremendous. So you have the text on the video, right? So, I mean, you got to be vulnerable. You got to get in front of the camera. You got to, invest in a little tripod, especially when it comes to LinkedIn, and tell your story or give tips, right? I think you and I always talk about, if you're an automotive mechanic, the best kind of video you could put out there is how to prevent seeing the automotive mechanic, right? You're positioning
Exactly.
yourself as a leader in the industry, in the community, and someone who's very, very trustworthy. So,
Yeah, let me add to that a little bit.
Mhm.
Sometimes business owners, they think, oh, I have to have this extremely professional, well-polished video. You
right.
don't.
You don't.
And correct me
You don't.
if I'm wrong, but from what we're seeing,
Yeah.
those people there just keep it real
Keep it real.
and just be
Keep it authentic.
genuine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
it may not be
Yeah.
perfectly edited.
Yep.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Your message reigns over
Unless
everything.
that's the purpose of the video, unless it's like a promotional video, then you
Sure.
call Danny at Last Bridge Media. You're welcome, Danny. Right. However, I've seen some of the best Facebook ads I've ever seen run were just little testimonials for a business. That was very authentic, very real. People resonate with that more than the people that, I mean, look at us. If you're watching us on YouTube or Spotify right now, we're just two average Joes, We're above average in our looks, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
Man,
of course, they say we both have faces for radio. So.
We have faces for radio, right? But we're approachable. I think I'm very approachable. I very casual. So anyway, in the last segment, let's get into Google reviews and a big question: how much does a strong online presence add to the value of your business? We're going to talk about that a little bit. So,
Perfect.
we are with co-host and a relatively new sponsor of the show, Robert Callesen from eForce Marketing. You are listening to the Marketing Corner. If you have any questions, please call in 520-790-2040. We'll be back in a few minutes. Back in the Marketing Corner, I'm your host, Sean Campbell, and as always, we start the last segment by thanking John, our engineer, for getting us through the show. All the Marketing Corner sponsors, including Bill Netherton from Professional Bartenders Unlimited, David Bradley, Medicare A to Z, Ken is Eaton Seat in Photography, who did a 5K iron mud thing in Vegas last weekend,
Whoa.
and she survived. Yep. Dana McPadden, Last Bridge Media, Juan J.D. Delgado from Roofs Are Hot, Mo Russo, Executive Business Coach, Robert Callesen, eForce Marketing, and the brand new sponsor, Adley Hunt, who's a realtor. So she'll be on the show in a few weeks. Also, if you're listening out there and you want to get some networking in at the Arizona Sands, join us on April 1st. Seriously, it's on April Fool's. It's April Fool's Day networking, but it's serious networking on April Fool's Day.
No fools.
No fools. We're
Yeah.
not joking about it.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday, April 1st. The admission is free, whether you are a member or non-member of the Sands. Myself, Adley, and another person. Another person will be co-hosting the event. Show up. I think we already got like 30 or 40 people already signed up,
excellent.
right? And if you hate networking, please show up. I'll help, introduce you to some people. I got a few people who are showing up. I'm sorry, my meta classes are going crazy right now. But show up April 1st. If you need more information, go on my LinkedIn profile and scroll through some of the posts and sign up there. Or just give me a text, 520-339-0259, and I'll give you the link to sign up for that. So I think that's all the admin stuff.
No, that's good.
Yeah.
Can I just add something
Absolutely.
for networking?
Yeah.
So networking really helped boost my business when I first started
Yeah.
first marketing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you don't get out as business owners,
Right.
entrepreneurs,
Right.
and kind of get to know the community,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a huge opportunity
Yeah.
for you. I mean,
Yeah.
I hit every uh, networking
Yeah.
group out there. I hit
Yeah.
a hard for probably 6, 8 months,
Yeah.
and it just
Yeah.
it really kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah. I,
helped
s-
my business take off.
I say this on almost every show here in Tucson. If I'm sitting across from a potential new client, one of the first things, even though I'm not going to get any business out of this advice, the best piece of advice I give any small business owner out there is to be 1 degree away from everybody else in town.
Okay.
If you can establish that, be 1 degree away. If you don't know somebody, at least know somebody who knows somebody. That could help your business grow exponentially in this town. Even though we're about around 1 million in population, in surrounding areas, Tucson is still a very small, quote unquote, small
Yes,
town.
it is.
If you do
Yep.
that, if the Sands Club is a perfect place to go network because everybody there is pretty much vetted. We're all paying $130 a month to pay for a $10 beer, right? So everybody in there is a small business owner, is a marketer, is a decision maker. You need to go in there and learn how to. Uh, I'm gonna make sure I say it, shake hands and kiss babies, not
Right.
shake babies and the other way around.
No, the
Yeah.
Well, and that's simply relational marketing. We
Right,
call it,
right,
right? So
yeah,
the more
yeah.
relationships you set
Yep.
up, then that really helps with your referrals. Even if you
Right.
don't do business directly with those people that you get to know,
They become your
they know
billboards.
someone,
Yeah,
right?
they know
So-
somebody. They
and
want to
you
help you.
reciprocate as well.
Right.
So-
Yeah. And real quick before we get into Google reviews, be a giver when it comes to networking. Don't just show
Yes.
up and pass out a bunch of business cards. Do every time you network, go out and try to set up at least one appointment for a cup of coffee or a lunch and get to know that person and see how you could serve them, how you can help them grow their business. If you do that consistently in this town, you'll be fine.
Yep. Don't be a salesperson.
No. Uh-uh.
Be a helper.
Be a helper. Yep. Google reviews. Do they
Yes, sir.
do they matter, Robert?
No, they don't. They have no relevance.
They have no
in
relevance
today's
at all.
world,
Yeah.
marketing world at all.
Next topic. No.
Yes. No, they're extremely important.
Yep.
Of course, as far as analytics are concerned.
Yep.
So you really need to have fresh reviews every week,
Mhm.
at least every month.
Yeah.
2 or 3 fresh reviews.
Yep.
Google picks that up, and
Yep.
they say, okay, you're more legit because you
Yep.
have more clients that are, customers that are, putting either bad or good reviews. It's important. Obviously, you want the 5-star reviews,
Mhm.
and as far as if a business has a 4.0 or higher,
Mhm.
and that's out of 5 stars,
Mhm.
then there's like an 80% chance that a customer will do business with you.
Yep.
If you fall below that 4.0
Mhm.
to 3.9, 3.8, it drops off dramatically.
Tremendously,
They'll
yeah.
go to the next
Yeah.
option in Google.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So it's really important to get more reviews, and we help our clients
Mhm.
with some techniques.
Mhm.
To get valid reviews.
Yeah.
One thing we don't advocate, of course, is just
Right.
have 1,000
Right.
illegitimate reviews.
Right.
Some places do. It's
Right.
just they tend to fall off pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you do get a bad review, I mean, you tell a story about coffee.
Yes.
So tell the coffee story.
So if you do get a bad review, that's okay.
Mhm.
If you can offset that with a number of very good positive reviews, people understand that
Mhm.
customers sometimes have bad days, business owners have
Mhm.
bad days, but if you do get a bad review, the best thing you can do is respond to that review. In fact, you should be responding to all reviews,
Yeah.
good and bad and difference. Just reach out and say, hey, so sorry, that was your experience. We'll reach out to you. We'll do a private message to you and see
Yeah.
how we can make it better. When
Yeah.
other customers see that, they're like, okay, this business is trying its best to
Right.
overcome a complaint. I did have a potential customer that we didn't do anything with, but it was a restaurant.
Mhm.
And this is a while back, and the owner had been doing business for a number of years.
Mhm.
He had a lot of bad reviews. He was sitting at, if I remember, about a 2.1
Oof.
stars out of 5 stars. But most of the bad reviews
Mhm.
had to do around his coffee.
Yeah.
They hated his coffee. I mean, tell me, Sean, is that a difficult problem to fix?
Not really,
I mean,
no.
you can fix it the next day just by a
Yeah.
different coffee, right?
Right. Right.
But he loved his coffee. He thought it was the best thing. But his last
Yeah.
like 5 or 6 one-star reviews
Yeah.
is, well, not just for the coffee. And then he had the front
Hmm.
girl that was uh,
Not nice.
grading people, or pretty, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
not so kind.
That's okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
Two very That's a training issue, very
Yeah.
easily fixed. I
Yeah.
mean, there's just different coffees, so I approached
Right.
this to him, and he called all those Google people hooligans.
Yeah. Hooligans.
Those
Yeah.
hooligans leaving bad reviews. It's
Yeah.
like they're just troublemakers. It's like,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. These troublemakers are giving you $10,000, $20,000 worth of business advice
Right. Right.
because they just identified two of your main problems.
Yeah.
You can listen to them or you can't. He chose
Right.
not to listen to them.
Right.
Guess where his business is at today?
Mm.
Out of business.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Man.
but it's listen to your customers.
Right.
They're going to walk you directly to the path that you need to take
Yep.
to improve your business.
Yep.
Or keep doing the things that you're doing as well as
Yeah.
as well. So
Yeah. We had a conversation a little while ago about the importance not only for your business today, but a lot of business owners somewhere down the line, if you don't already have an exit strategy or a strategy to sell your business, it's going to come into play at one point or another, right? When you have two businesses, one with very poor online presence, very poor SEO, a website that doesn't convert, very poor social media presence versus the opposite end of that spectrum with a very strong converting website, very strong SEO, good consistent social media. How much more, if they're in the same industry, do you think the business with a strong online presence would sell versus the one that doesn't?
well, it's a double benefit to have a strong online presence because
Right.
it's giving you more money. It's bringing you more sales opportunities
sales
for
today.
all the years
Yeah.
that you're a business owner for that
Yep.
particular company. So it has a tremendous value
Yep.
year after year after year,
Yep.
right, if it's managed correctly.
Yep.
When it comes time for your exit strategy and you want to sell it, we actually
Mhm.
had a conversation with one of the top business brokers
Mhm.
here in Tucson,
Mhm.
and I asked her that very
Yeah.
specific question.
Yeah.
And in her terms, she says it could be a multiple of 3 or 4, but if you have a strong online presence, great looking website,
Mhm.
social media interaction,
Mhm.
and just online presence that's really strong,
Mhm.
good reputation
Mhm.
as far as Google reviews and everything.
Yeah.
She goes, that goes into the more subjective valuation of a company.
Right.
And she said that can add another uh, multiple or 2 multiples.
Wow.
It could be huge. It could take a company that's worth, on paper maybe $500,000
Mhm.
up to like 7 or 8 thousand, instead of
Mm.
half a million, maybe $700,000 or $800,000.
Yeah.
So it could have
Yeah.
a huge impact.
Right. Right.
And then of course, if
Yeah.
you're looking to buy that business,
Yeah.
which business do you want to pay a premium for?
Right. Right.
One that's already established, has a great reputation and whatnot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
One that has business coming in from their presence online versus one that
Yes.
you had to establish something.
Yep.
Or maybe even, spend way more money correcting all the errors. So,
yeah, and that's a great point. It's a well optimized presence
yeah.
online.
Yeah.
It's really the gift that keeps on giving.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It just has to be managed, but then people find you rather than
Yeah.
doing mailers or other hard advertising to attract new customers.
Yeah. Yeah. We got 2 minutes left in the show, Robert. Any parting words of wisdom for everybody out there?
Well, just hopefully people got a little bit out of this.
I think so. I think so.
What we're offering and some of the suggestions, and just getting back to the phone. That's a big thing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
answer your phone, be professional.
Speaking of your phone, do you have a phone number you want to put out or a website address?
I do. It's eforcemarketing.com. Eforce
Mhm.
marketing.com, and it's my direct cell phone, which is attached to my website. It's 520-309-0798. It's 520-309-0798. If anyone has any questions, information is free as far as what I'm concerned. So just call. I'll be happy to help any way we can.
Yep. So I hope everybody got something out of that. I mean, we spent an hour being very, very transparent. We talked a lot of our anecdotes. I revealed some of my weaknesses, and I hope that if you're listening to this on YouTube at the Marketing Corner or on Spotify at the Marketing Corner, that you got something out of this. And if there's something that we did not address, feel free to reach out. 520-339-0259. If you see this online, leave something in the comments. Set up a coffee. Go to my Calendly page and set up a time for a coffee with us, and we'll sit there, be very, very transparent. give you some little bullet points that you could do to improve your online presence and improve your business immediately. So there's a lot of stuff people can do today to improve their presence. You just got to do it.
Yep.
Just got to do it. So thank you for everybody listening on the Marketing Corner. I think this is episode 30. Go Cats beat the Ducks today.
Yep.
So it's a big, big game. We're going to be in a Sweet 16 this time next week. Hopefully, we're talking about the
We
Sweet
came on
16.
strong against Akron, so hopefully we'll take that
sorry,
momentum
buddy.
with us. No.
Yeah, have a great week, and we'll see everybody next week.
All right. Thank